The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is...
I hope you're doing wonderful. I hope you're having a wonderful morning, evening, night, whenever you're watching this review. I hope everything's going in your way, and even if it's not, just look on the bright side. Look at where you are now, and look at where you can become. Because everybody can, improve themselves on certain things. So, and that improvement is right around the corner. So there's no point to stop and be down and Debbie Downer all the time when that improvement is right there around the corner. Now, enough with therapy. I'm gonna now talk about our several stocks that went up today. We have 6, and we have one that squeezed up 160% in the span of about 30 minutes. 160%. It went from $6.94, I believe, in pre-market at the intraday, right when the bell rang at 9:30, to $18 in the day. That's crazy, isn't it? So I'm going to talk a little bit about the pre-market. I'm going to talk about 3 stocks, and then we have 2 movers. So yeah, let's get right into it. Our first stock of the day, API. So pre-market starts at 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock, or 4 a.m. That's really, really early. And I'm going to close the door because it's raining and it's getting a little bit cold. So we just close that. So API started moving at 4 a.m. That's a little bit early. Most institutions don't really open and allow traders to trade before 7. So I was unable to trade then because I'm using thinkorswim, as you can see here. However, that doesn't mean we can still not analyze this. And we were able to trade this when it opened at 7 o'clock, because that's when thinkorswim, E-Trade, what's another one? My mind's not clicking right now. But those are when those institutions open. So we analyzed before because we saw it moving, and we hopped in when there was a chance. So let's look here. Now, API, I said, opened 4 a.m. on movement right here. So this stock actually rose 120% to a high of about 605 in pre-market after a 14% gain on Tuesday, the other day. So here we see we move up from 0 volume to about 2,600, and we see here a hammered out a resistance level being formed right here at about 256, 255, because these are not going above here. So that's where we have our first line formed. Okay, we move on. We still can't enter, like I said, because there's you can't enter before 7 o'clock, unfortunately, as much as this was moving. So we just have to, analyze and wait until we can enter. We then see another resistance level forming at about right here. Right here in about 7:23 or 4:23-ish in the morning. And then here we have a confirmation of a support level being formed at the 9 EMA and around there at 380, because we have our hammer, which is going to be hammering out our resistance level. And, as you see, we don't go below that in here. Let me try and sketch it up for you guys. Hold up a second. Bear with me right here. So you have your hammer, which is hammering out your support levels. And we go up and we test 409, which was kind of ish tested here, but we went a little bit up, like 10 cents to test. We still can't enter. Our MACD is close. So even though if we were to enter somewhere in here, there's no point because our MACD is close. So that should sign you that, we shouldn't enter. And right about here-ish would be a possible entry as we break through the barrier of 410. The logical resistance level 410, like I discussed yesterday, ends in 0. It sounds a little bit better. And then you have that boost up. And there's no reason to sell around here or here because you're not going below the low of your previous candle. So let's say you enter on the high as you break through 409. It drops down here to about 407, but it doesn't drop here to 4. So if it were to drop here and you enter at 409, your profit loss to ratio is pretty decent. So there's no reason why you should sell here because it didn't go through your stop loss, which should have been right here at 4. Now, you see this go right up right here to about 440-ish. And then we have a little minor micro pullback, and then we squeeze up to 487. And then later on in the day, so we're going to mark another resistance level because we still can't trade out right here at 490 because these two couldn't make it above there. So, there's no point of, entertaining that. if we were able to trade. So we have here 491, our resistance level. Let me clear this up so we can pay attention more, because as we're breaking through new resistance levels, the other ones become irrelevant. Because why are we looking at the past when you should be looking at the future movement? So yeah, and 491, we don't cross above that level, but also, like I said earlier, we don't cross below our resistance level that was set here at about 4. Let me see here, what was it? 4 or 392, I believe. Yeah, 392 is our support level, and we don't cross about there. So we're looking pretty good. You have movement. Our mock D returns back to open, and then once again we cross about here, and here was another potential trade, but the market's still not open yet. So you couldn't really trade unless you're using platforms like Lightspeed or other platforms like that allow you to trade before 7 o'clock. And then we squeeze up here, so we're going to mark that again right here. We're not going to mark this because we break it immediately again at about 11:50ish, and now it's 10 minutes till the market can open at 7 o'clock. So this was our key point right here at 7. Our resistance level set at 577. So right as the market opened, you can see this influx of volume going through right here. Let me zoom in right here, because this is when the market opened and more people are about to buy. You see the average volume is maybe about 50,000 on the high end, but here immediately you have 250,000, 255,000. That just goes to show you that that's like when people bought in. So we had our resistance level set right here at 577, and we had another one that we could draw right here, because you see these little tiny sideways candles are just, it's not moving because of volume, and then our mock D's close and our TTM squeeze. So we're gonna set that as a resistance level, and if we break through that, okay, then we're gonna pay attention to 557 as another confirmation. So we would buy, let's say around here. This is where I bought right when the market opened, because look, see, our mock D is open, we're bright blue, and we're breaking not only this candle, but we're breaking this other candle. So this is where I bought in between here, the resistance level set right here at about 560, and then this one set at 575, 577-ish. And I hit my order here, and we rose up to about 650. So there would be your about 90 cents of profit. And then I took off a little bit, and as I saw, we rose up because we still had volume. With the next candle is $135,000 or 135,000 buyers who bought in, or orders being fulfilled for buyers and not sellers. We have 54,000 sellers. Like, let's see if you can see here. I'm looking right here in this corner. So yeah, I added a little bit, and then I took off finally on the top because I saw that our volume to the sellers went down or increased. We went from 54,000 sellers to 95,000 sellers, or 95,000 orders. And typically I also took off because typically after such a big move, like this is a dollar move, typically people are going to want to call their profits and take their profits home. Take your profits where you can, because if you wait and wait and wait, you're going to reach back here and you're going to be like, oh no, what happened? I waited too long and I'm back to net zero profits. So that's one stock that moved in the pre-market. It moved on higher throughout the day as it broke through the resistance level at 625 that was set through that pullback. So it broke once here, but it couldn't make it enough to 650, which was that high right here set at the 7 a.m. open. But we move up higher, and this became another resistance level. So 625 was a resistance level that became support level at about, what time is that? That's about 725-ish. Am I getting my times wrong? I am getting my times wrong. No, I'm correct. Sorry. No, I'm sorry. This was 6 a.m. What I was talking about earlier was 6 a.m. That's my bad. And then 725-ish was about here. And then we break, and we have a high of day of 737 or 735. Now, our second mover was actually Duo from, let's move on to here, from earlier today. So Duo moved because it's been a mover from not only yesterday, but since the beginning of the week. So it was on people's eyes, and it moved a little bit during after hours, right about here. So this is when the market closed at about 4 p.m. yesterday. And so it had a decent amount of movement. It was moving not particularly sideways, but especially later in the day, we had 411,000 orders go for buyers. That's pretty crazy for what time was this? 3 o'clock trade, 3 p.m. trade. So it was moving in after hours, and then it slowed down as you get to like, really, really early, really, really late. Like this is, I think, what is this? Like 6 p.m. ish. And then here at 4 a.m., you have a bounce up. These are, people on light speed and all that. But what we did here is we set our resistance levels, because it's good to pay attention about like what people are doing to be prepared for what's about to come next, So we had a resistance level set at our top here at 4 a.m. because you see nowhere in here we go above that at 4:34, 4:35. And then as soon as we go above that, then becomes our support level here, this bounce up, and we keep on going higher and higher and higher till about our high of day, which was almost $5. And then later on in the day, we weren't able to sustain above 434, but this was your major money maker here in pre-market for Duo, relatively speaking. Because yesterday it was at $3, I believe, or it made a dollar move. Here, it also didn't necessarily make a dollar move unless you traded from the bear, like the bear of dawn at 4 a.m. to what time is this? 4 a.m. to about 7-ish a.m. And then it just went down after that. But some possible entry points was through the break of the resistance level here at 434. After it rose up and then it broke this candle right here. This one I didn't trade particularly, so this is why I can't really say for sure, because I don't really know how it acted based on like level 2 and all that. This is what I use to trade. But you would preferably want to buy at the break of this candle. There's not too much volume, so it would be risky, relatively speaking. So that's why I really don't trade in these hours when it's such low volume. Like the average volume is probably like about 50,000. So now we're gonna move with another one, TIGR, which moved also in the pre-market hours. This one was pretty interesting. This one made about a $2 move during pre-market right here. So TIGR moved right here. It began again at 4 a.m. All these stocks began at 4 a.m. And we can just begin by setting our resistance level here at 780. And you see it doesn't go above that. So there's no point of like looking at it necessarily. And then right here, when our market opens for normal traders at about 7 o'clock, which is right here. Let me mark it up for you guys so you can see. 7 o'clock, right about here. Then we have a little bit of pickup. We had a little bit of pickup before our pre-market hour opens for our retail traders. And so what we would have done is we would have set a resistance level here at 8. Because you see, we don't go above there. And that's another logical resistance level, because it's a whole dollar. And right as soon as we go above 8, we immediately take off. On volume, 83,000 buyers or buy orders, 46,000 buy orders, 23,000 buy orders. Pretty decent volume. So here, this one I actually traded because it was actually during the time that you could trade. And I noticed that it went above the whole dollar. And typically when it goes above the whole dollar and it maintains above the whole dollar, it's probably going to test the next whole dollar, at least halfway, which it particularly did here at 50, or hit a high of day at what was this, like about 45, 845. But we had a decent move of 45 cents. I bought in here in the middle of this candle where it broke out through 8 and broke out. I had that as my confirmation, but my first confirmation was that it broke the previous candle right here at 798, which 2 cent difference. But I entered here at 801, and then I had my confirmation here that we're going to still maintain. Otherwise, if I, noticed that it had our wick go down a little bit, then I would, call my profit off here, because I know it wouldn't go higher because it didn't even reach 10 or 810. And so we went higher. So I added at 810, and then I added at 811 again, and then 813. And I called that, and then we went up high right here. And the wick didn't have a wick down. So I believe that it was still going to move higher and test that $0.5 point, because typically stocks move either by 10 cents, 25 cents, 50 cents, or whole dollars. So the next expectation was it already broke through 25 clearly. So the next one to test was 50. So eventually I took half off the table here, and then I took all right there as soon as I saw we couldn't make it above 50. Let me drink a little bit of water. Yeah, so that's where I took all of it off, and then as you see, we don't really maintain above 845 throughout the rest of the day. Yeah, we hit a high of 863, and yes, you could have traded this, but there's, better things you could have traded, so there is no point to really entertain it too much. But if you were, I'll mark it up so you can see, just for, we're learning, we're doing analysis. So during the pre-market or market open, we would have had, you can see the resistance level forming here at about $8 again, because it doesn't go above here. So I was finished at this point, but I'm just going over it for those of you who did trade and you made money or you didn't or whatever. It doesn't go above $8 here, and it doesn't go above $8 here. So there was no point to entertain it unless you want to make, let's say 2 cents a profit. Yeah, okay, 2 cents a profit is good. Any profit is good, but why make 2 cents when you could have made, that 60-cent move? Come on, let's do the math here. So it dips down. As you see here, we have a pullback from the 8, which it barely maintained, and there's barely any volume. It's moving on about 3,000 buy orders on average. So there's no point of why it should be entertained. Here we have a little bit more volume, 345,000 shares or buy orders going through, which was the main pusher that pushed it to go to 8. And that basically, moved it to 8. So ideally, you would either want to be entering at the breakthrough of the previous candle, which was here at 790-ish, and enter here or here as you're breaking through this resistance level from the double top at $8 actually, or wait until you break through that major resistance level that it didn't maintain through the latter half of pre-market at 806. So there was 2 possible entries: breakthrough here at 8, or 3 actually, breakthrough here at the high of the previous candle, breakthrough through 8 whole dollar, or breakthrough through 806, and then you move to about 862, another 863, but it didn't maintain. Then you have a pullback back down to 7, and then people just try again. So yeah, but moving forward onto our next stock of the day, it was JOBY. So now this one moved on news. It moved on news, and this one was actually pretty interesting, because right when the news kicked, you see this influx of volume of 557,000 buy orders going through. This just goes to show you how much news influences the stock. Let me say that one more time, a little bit louder. I'm closer to the mic. News influences stocks heavily, especially investing news like this one, where Toyota said that they're going to invest in this company, JOBY Aviation, $500 million to support their certification and commercial production of their electric air taxi. What? Crazy. $500 million? Of course people are going to be interested, because Toyota, a big car manufacturer, is investing in an aviation publicly traded stock. Bingo bongo. Immediately when this news hit, you should be looking at news that's this intriguing. But let me rephrase this, because if you see this news, yes, it's intriguing, but other things cannot be as intriguing. And if you're looking at one article and somebody else is looking at another investing article, and you buy the stock in article A, but everybody else is buying in article B, then you lost out. So what you should be doing is you should be scanning for these news, yes, but, keyword here, but you should also be seeing what the market is doing. Because if the market is not reflecting what your news is reading, then there's no point of entertaining this news article about this particular stock. But in contrast, this one, people saw it moved, bingo bongo. I entered at about somewhere in here. Let me mark this up a little bit. right here in the midst of it, because I have a scanner that scans particularly for specific words in news, such as investing blank blank dollars into blank blank company. So I entered here, and then I maintained a little bit here. However, I was unsure, so I took off half on the table here at 583, because there's nothing to compare it to. Your stop loss logically should be somewhere here in the 9 EMA or the previous candle, so it's 0, or like your profit ratio, loss ratio is at least 1-to-1, if not 2-to-1. But there's nothing to compare to, because our previous candle, like look at our previous candle, it closed at 488, and this one closed at 408. You know, that's an insane move. So there's nothing to compare it to. So this one's a little bit of a risky trade, but you know, it was more than $1 profit, $1.50. So per order. And then this one had a struggle of staying above 615. So yeah, it hit the high of day at 614. And so, I mean, that was our major mover, but people didn't really show that much interest in it throughout the day as it dropped, and people lost interest because you know what? I'm going to skip over this, and we're going to come back to EONR. I'm going to talk about our major mover for today of 160%. WHLR moved 160%. That's a crazy, crazy, crazy move. Okay? So, this stock, if you ever retail traded in the past 6 months, you've probably at least traded this stock, if not once, twice, or 3 times. This is a heavily popular stock amongst retail traders. And now for today, this stock didn't provide any necessary news, and it was all momentum, basically. Now, during the pre-market, we see basically 0 shares of volume being traded. So we're like, okay, how did a stock go from being traded to zero, like none, null, nothing, nada, to having an increase of 160% throughout the day? How did we do that? Well, it's all momentum. So relatively speaking, this did not have that much momentum compared to other stocks. The average volume here on buy orders was about 150 to 200,000. Not too much in reference to other stocks that typically move on like 200,000, on the low end, 500,000 shares of volume within the same candle. But this one, you know, it was moving a little bit, and that's what first popped up on my scanner. It was moving from a difference of like 4,000 shares of volume to 20,000. A 15,000 share increase piques my scanner's interest. So I noticed that about right here at about what's that, 950-ish, and I watch and I see there's not that much volume. It's an average about 7,000 shares of volume. If you look right here, it tells you the volume with your buyers in green and your sellers in red. And I noticed that we're having a resistance level forming at 840. Okay, and I'm like, huh, interesting. And we have a double top forming, and a double top basically is a signal for reversal. We have, if not, we have a triple top right here at 951, another one here at 954, another one here at 955, even a quadruple top right here at 956. And we see that little slope downward. So I noticed that in particular, and I'm like, there's no reason for me to entertain this. So what I did is I set it off to the side and waited until we broke at least that resistance level, and we maintained above the high of day, because you see here, our high of day has now become a support level. We're not going below that. So that was also pretty intriguing to me, that we went to there. However, we're not going below our high of day. So that was high of day so far, high of pre-market. And now I was watching until we broke that resistance level, as I said, which we did here at $8.40. And let me mark this up so it can make a little bit more sense. So I noticed that, and I noticed that we were starting to move on a little bit more volume. So from, let's say, 5,000 shares of volume right here, or buy orders, we went to 12,000, 26,000, 40,000. So what I did is I bought around here in this area where we're moving up, our MACDs open, our TTM squeeze, we're moving above that resistance level, and we're moving above all our EMAs and our VWAP. which is a signal that a lot of retail traders use. It's our volume weighted average, or yes, our volume, and it's taking the average of that, and it's just a signal. Like it's your mock, basically, practically, it's a mock D. If you were to put a mock D and a VWAP decently parallel on the same chart, overlapping, it's pretty much the same. Now, this is where I entered here at about, what is this? 8:50, no, sorry, that's wrong. 9:30-ish, because I wanted confirmation, because this stock was barely moving, so I was like, kind of sketchy to enter here, just right away, right here on this uptick. But it was a 40% uptick, which, I mean, okay. So I entered here at about 9:25-ish, and then I added a little bit more, and I took off right here because we had almost a double top forming with a red candle. So typically a double top with a red candle signals like a little bit of reversal, which happened right here. We have a little bit of stagnation, and then we just boost up to $15, okay? $15. So what happened here is we were testing that high of day at about 11.71, because this is our new set high of day. Our previous one was at 8.44 or $8.40, and we broke through that. Now we're testing another level because this stock already moved $3, from 8 to 11, and it's just testing. Is it really worth $11? Are you sure this is worth $11? Maybe it's not worth $11. And if people really thought it wasn't, then they would go back to 8. But apparently everybody thought the stock was worth $11, so I was waiting for that breakout on volume, which happened right here at about 10:21. 10:21, we went from an average of 11,000 shares of volume, or 50,000 shares of volume, to 184, or 210 in total with our buyers and sellers combined. We had 186,000 buyers or buy orders go through. So immediate pop. We have a little bit of wait to test and see, okay, is it really worth it on these two candles at 10:22 and 10:23? And once we got confirmation that everybody thinks that, okay, this seems valuable, and our mock D is still open, and our buyers are in control, you see our candles are in green and not mainly in red, then, we go up. We move up, and up until, once again, we test another major logical resistance level here at, what level is this? Let me make sure I'm talking correctly. At $16. Another logical resistance level was set here at $16. So we had practically a resistance level set here at about almost $8, $7.90-ish. And then another here set at $8.40 or $8.50-ish. And then we moved high. We had one set at $11 going on to 12, and then another one set at 16. And we moved up, and we just didn't manage to go above 16. That logical resistance level, it just couldn't manage. So typically, and what I did is when I bought here, I maintained, like I said, we did drop down. So this was, decent. You still wouldn't lose if you bought here when you should have, when you break through that resistance level and you have the confirmation of volume. But thankfully, this was a hammer. So we were hammering out a resistance level here forming at $14, and it just rocketed up another $2 right here to 16. And then it went down, and you see our mock D starts to squeeze a little bit. And right here, you should notice that there's a possible reversal because our sellers are increasing. Everybody wants to take their profit. Sellers are increasing, and sellers really increase right here. So this is where you should have took everything off the table, because you see you dip down here to back to 14. So you end up back to where you were previously. So this is where you should have ended it all, or took your money off the table. And then here was another possible entry right here, buying from the dip, the high of the previous candle, which happened right here at about 390, and you broke through here 390. You break through 1421. You would buy here. I didn't do this because I already made my profit for the day through this move and through the other move from $8 to 11, and then 11 to 16, which was 160% move. And then you could buy here, when you broke through this candle, and you broke through the previous 3, and then you move again, and you see here it doesn't break through 16, so immediately you should have took your profit off the table, because you see you're unable to break through 1650 or 1660, and B, if the close was very, very near 16.15, and the next candle, immediately dips down. So not only that, but your mock D is closed. So you shouldn't have even considered this trade to begin with because your mock D is closed and your TTM squeeze is red. However, if you did, and you could do it right technically, but it would be risky because you have your two indicators showing you that, there's no reason to enter. But you could make $2. If not, $2.50. But it is risky. And then it does hit a high of day of another $18. So you could have made $8 or another $2 in profit per trade, per order. Sorry, but again, we're unable to go through the next whole dollar, and that just leads to people selling and selling and selling. So we sell back, we get back to 16. Okay, we move a little bit high, then we go below 16, and then we're just unable to go below 16. And then now we're unable to go below 14. So there was no reason to entertain this. Now, lastly, I'm going to go back to earlier in the day to EONR. Sorry, this is the wrong one. Let me change it up. Excuse me. EONR. So here we go. This happened at about in the beginning of the day, right about here. And this one was our volume right here. So we went from practically 0 shares of volume to an immediate sum of 87 or 56,000 right here, 56,000. So it was a little bit intriguing. 56,000, okay. Why did we go from 0 or 1,000 to 56,000? So I kept it on my radar. I noticed that we're not going above pre-market high, but we have this pullback, and what you do, you want to go with the flow. You want to try to go with the wave. Typically, most of the time it works. And so what I did is I had a resistance level set right here at 215, I believe, 215 right here. And I was waiting to see here 215 because I know these candles didn't make it above 215. The wicks did, but we closed below. So 215 was a good average to keep in mind. And I mean, we don't go below our 200 EMA, which is right here, this gray line. So I know, okay, our support would be technically around right here at $1.83. So immediately we do bounce off our support and we go up and we test 215 again. And right as I see we test 215, that's when I bought right here at about 220-ish, 221 with a little bit of slippage. And we go up and we ride. We ride to test our pre-market high, which I take off half because I know that if we don't manage to go above here, which we did do right here because the candle went red, I should take off right here and at least make 10 cents, if not 20 cents of profit when I bought here at 220. Right here it's 230-ish, so I made 10 cents on half. But I had a feeling because we were working on pretty decent volume, 200,000, 400,000 average volume on these candles. I had a feeling, people still want to squeeze this up and, squeeze the rest of their lemon to make their lemon juice, which it did. And we got a pop right here of about 800,000 buyers or buy orders going through. And that's what squeezed it up above the pre-market high right here, which was at about 235. And then we had another candle set right here, and this one was red. So this is where I took all my profits off the table because not only were we above the pre-market high, which was bizarre that it went above pre-market high, but we have a volume candle of 700,000 sellers. So that's where I ended it and I called it quits for the day. Yeah, we moved up to 269, but if you maintained there, you could have easily had slippage and, instead of selling at 269 like you wanted to or whatever, you ended up selling at 240. And so you gave back, 29 cents of profit? Like, why would you do that when you could have just called it here and sold it at 250? It doesn't make sense. So if you did that, I hope you learned a lesson. But yeah, and then it doesn't maintain above the pre-market high throughout the day, so there's no reason to keep that on watch. But that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, or morning, or night, or whenever you're watching this. This is People for Trading, signing off.